Welcome to a Friday Reads, where I talk about what I read, what I'm reading, what I hope to get to next. And it's been a while since I filmed one of these. It feels like a century. Partially because I had a trip, and so I didn't want to do a Friday Reads on that trip. And then, I don't even know why. I think it was like it made more sense to do a TBR, because I was going to just cover everything I had finished in a wrap-up. And I am filming that after this video. So yeah, there's like quite a few books actually that I read that I haven't talked about anywhere on the channel yet. And it feels weird to not just continue talking about them in the Friday Reads. But, just starting off fresh, I'm a little slumpy. For as much as I read at the end of May is how little I have read at the start of June. I believe I have finished one thing, and it was 97 pages. And that was The Shawl. This was a work I read for the Bite Size Book Club at Hexagon Books. We had a phenomenal discussion last night. Both about the work and the work's historical context, because it's two parts. And the first part takes place in a concentration camp, and the second part is one of the characters who survived the concentration camp like 25 years in the future in the United States. And it's a really beautifully written, difficult to read. It's just like, she doesn't waste a sentence, okay? If you're someone who's like, I read because I really like the density of prose. I mean, I'm not saying this was hard to read in terms of density, but if like you just like eating up authors who are very intentional about the descriptions they use, you gotta try this out. Now that said, the first part is in a concentration camp, and it's inspired by, I believe it's a historical account, but there is I forget what book it is, but there's an account at a concentration camp of an infant being thrown at the electric wired fence. Okay, that moment in particular is graphically in the first part of this. So if that makes you squeamish, you can't handle that, then maybe skip that first part and then go into the second. I just really loved reading about Rosa because she's just a time. She's someone who's really stuck. She's someone who's really snobbish. She has a lot of opinions. Her opinions on Miami, Florida are hysterical. So yeah, this is definitely just like a work where I didn't know anything about it. I just read it for book club. I found the writing to be really compelling to the point where I want to pick something else up by this author. So yeah, if you haven't given it a go, if this is your first time hearing about it, if you're ever looking for that type of historical fiction, especially in short doses, I think this is definitely worth your time. So other things I'm reading, let's continue. The only thing that's getting me through right now are audiobooks. And so my audiobook right now is The Widows of, is it Malabar Hill? I don't even know. But it's The Widows of Something Hill. It is a mystery that takes place in India, and I believe it's translated. Maybe it's not translated. I don't know. It definitely was published in India first. I'm pretty sure it was translated, but I don't know for sure as of right now, and I don't have the copy on me to look at. But this is really cool. Or at least it's very entertaining, which is definitely something I need right now. And I do not read very many historical fictions, and I really don't read very many mystery books, and this is a mystery book. That said, I don't know if it's very paced like genre mystery is in the West. I feel like we haven't, I'm halfway through, and I feel like the actual mystery is just starting. But that said, I'm not, been bored. So we're in India, I believe Bombay at the start, and then some of the flashbacks were in a different area. Calcutta? That sounds right. And we have our main character, who is the first solicitor in India as well. Because this is the 1920s-ish. Maybe 1917, 1920. And because her father runs this law program, he was able to get her to go to law school so she can be a solicitor. She can't go in front of a judge, but she can still do all the contract work. And she finds out that there are these widows who somebody's trying to get them to write away a lot of their resources, and she just first wants to talk to them. And since she is a woman lawyer, she is able to, because these widows, the way that they practice their religion is they are secluded from everyone else and cannot talk to other men. So in the process of doing that, she discovers a murder. And that's the mystery we're going to pick up on. But then there's just a whole bunch of flashback stuff for our main character, which in its own right is its own drama and very, you want to just punch someone while you're reading it, how she's treated in law school, how she's treated by her first husband, all of that. It definitely, I think, falls a tiny bit into the trap of like a modern work, because even though it was maybe only translated recently, it's still like a fairly, like, it's only 5 years old, I think. Like, I think maybe it came out in 2018, so maybe that's older than 5 years, but it's not like that old. It can sometimes, I think, feel like our main character thinks like how we think in the modern age, and can like make, sometimes she's pretty intelligent, but sometimes she's like fairly naive in ways that I think can happen when you just like put modern feminist sensibilities into the historical fiction. It doesn't usually bother me that much, but sometimes I'm just like, how did you not think this was an option, hun? Like, I get that your family in particular is very modern, but also you know how the world works. So, I don't know. She's just like an interesting character to follow. It's just entertaining. I'm halfway through. Like, not so entertaining that I'm like finding time to listen to it, but also it's like too hot outside to go do things. And I've been just like watching TV while I crochet, so. And then my physical read has been The Red Winter. And I am about, I guess, halfway through. It's hard to say. I'm on page 263 of like a 500-page book. The cover of this book, I feel like really doesn't tell you what this book's about. Like, even this, I just don't think this tells you what it's about. Like, maybe it does a little bit. I think the fact that it's blurred by T. Kingfisher is good. I think that's a good selling point. Because maybe I'm a fool. I've been a fool many times before. I saw this cover when everyone was talking about this book, and I was like, another medieval European historical fantasy. I don't know if I'm really feeling that. Very, like, a Game of Thrones or something like that. Like, it was just like, icon, thing, central image, big font. I don't know. That's how I thought this was marketed, and so I was just like, I'm not interested. But a bunch of people were loving it, and so then this was shelved in the horror section of one of my bookstores. And I don't necessarily think it's like a horror book, but it is very unique. It's what I've been telling like friends in my real life, it's a historical paranormal fantasy. Because I don't think we get that often. Like, I think it happens, but this is paranormal fantasy, possessions, angels, demons, werewolves, witches, stuff like that, in 1700s France. And that's the vibe it has. Like, it has a lot of the campiness you expect from a paranormal fantasy that, like, is kind of the bread and butter of that genre. If there's horror, there is, like, blood and gore. It does have footnotes, and I don't think the footnotes are as iconic as the Chorus of Dragon footnotes. If you know, you know. But they're still kind of fun, and I do like there's, like, sections in here written by one of his servants who's a succubus. That's another paranormal thing that we have in here. And the premise of this is also a book with flashbacks and heading back to present day, is our main character, Sebastian, who has a little possession friend in his head. He needs to go back to this place where he originally fought this beast because there's unfinished business and things have crept back up again. They weren't handled the first time. And so we're learning about what happened in the past while we're also unpacking what's happening right now. I do think this is a standalone, and it's generally pretty good. My focus has just been trash. Okay? My energy after coming back from the trip was in the toilet. I mean, it still fluctuates. It's just hot and humid. Work's picked up. We'll see if the reading continues. I'm trying to be really good these days of meeting myself where I'm at. So if that means I'm reading really slowly, it means I'm reading really slowly. I'm trying not to pressure myself. Like, I guess, spoiler alert, I did have, TBR plans centered around Herked and finishing it. And, I'm not going to push myself to finish that list just because. I'm actually hoping to pick something else up next that's, like, truly going to engage me. I haven't figured out what that's going to be yet. I really don't know what I'm in the mood for, even with TV. I feel like my mental health lately just hasn't let me, like, be in the moment, and we're starting to get closer to that. But I will show you a bunch of books that I have bought recently and had bought for me. So starting with, I went to San Diego. That's where I went on my trip, which, honestly, 10 out of 10. Highly recommend it. I mean, I know it's a hot take to say San Diego's great, but, like, it was great. And I got to see Roger from Roger's Reads, who has a channel. He posts sporadically. If you've been watching our Malazan live shows, he's my friend from that. I did a bunch of Cosmere read-along stuff with him. And so not only did we go to a bookstore, and actually I'll show you the book I got from that bookstore later because it kind of goes with some of my other books, but then I got to actually like shop his bookshelves. He has these stunning bookshelves in his apartment with his 2 adorable cats. And one I saw he already had a copy of was Season of Storms. Now, I have read all the main novels and the 2 short story collections in the Witcher series. I love the short story collections. I'm extremely lukewarm on the novels. I do have an older should you read on The Witcher if you like really want to know my Witcher thoughts. But I know this is like an adventure with Geralt, because my biggest issue with later like books in this series is not that they're bad, but it changed the project. The project was no longer about Geralt the Witcher. The project was about like metaphors of war and economies and stuff. And I think that's fine, but it's like, I cared about Geralt. Like, that's why I loved the series. So the less Geralt we had, the less fun I was having. So this is like a prequel story. I can't remember exactly where, but like it's an adventure with Geralt. And I'm like cautiously, optimistic that I would have fun with this. And I think we have another story with Geralt coming out soon too. So yeah. He had another version of it, so I got this one. And then when we were at one of the bookstores, I had mentioned that I kept hearing about the second death of Locke, which this is the cover you normally see, but he had a really nice Orbit edition that he said he would never read. And so I picked it up because I'm like, why not? Let's see if I'll like it. And it opens okay for a hardback of this type. One of the reasons I don't usually collect a lot of special edition hardbacks is they don't open. Like, I'm a big proponent of when you get a hardback, it should open like this, and it kind of does, so that's at least nice. So yeah, this is, for some reason, I blame Chapel Roan. I don't know if that's why. Like, I don't know why she decided to dress in chainmail and do the whole Joan of Arc adjacent thing, but we have had so many night books. We had The Everlasting, we had The Isle in the Silver Sea. I've read both of those, but I haven't read this one. So this is another knight and companion story, and I don't know. If it's done right, I want to eat it up. If it's not done right, I'll just DNF it. So this could be a contender for, like, if it has my tropes. A book that a publisher sent me recently that I don't even know if I asked for it. I can't remember. But I appreciate it because I've been reading the series, is Inkpot Gods. This is the 4th book, right? That feels right, in the Middle Game series. Now, do I have Middle Game behind me? I do. Middle Game is on my shelf. None of the other ones are on my shelf. I've read Seasonal Fears. I've read Title Creatures. Title Creatures I liked a smidge more. But none of them have met Middle Game heights. But, I want to continue it. So this is the 4th one. I think it's supposed to be 5. I don't know. I don't even know what this one's about. Yeah. No idea. The front flap's not very helpful either. So, yep. But I got this from a publisher. Now, the rest of my books are because my mother went to Minneapolis for a family thing. And if you don't know, in Minneapolis, there is a bunch of really good bookstores, actually. It's like kind of a city that's on my list to visit primarily for bookstores. Like, I also wouldn't mind seeing the Twins, like, stadium and stuff like that. Like, there's other things. And I told her when she went, it's like, you need to go to Uncle Hugo's bookstore. And my stepdad at first was like, meh, it's 45 minutes away. And I'm like, no, you guys have to go. It's like a sci-fi specialty bookstore. I forgot it was also mysteries, which is also fortuitous because my mom loves mysteries. And they went, and they were like dogs, and they like loved it. My stepdad was like going down memory lane being like, I read this and this. And like, he admitted that it's a bookstore he would have traded with a lot if he lived in the city. And I told them, it's like, they have so many Lois McMaster Bajol books. If you see XYZ, grab them for me. One of them is, so when I was in San Diego, I bought the most recent bind-up of the Pendrick and Desdemona novellas, as they've been releasing these as novellas. But I don't now, then suddenly I only had the first 2 and the 4th one. So I asked them to grab me the 3rd one, and these are really shiny, so I apologize. So does that mean I should start reading Pendrick and Desdemona? I have now the 4 bind-ups. My other 2 are upstairs. And I think they used to not be shiny, but now they're shiny, and like, whatever. It is what it is. I've already started collecting them. But they also found the hardcover of Paladin Souls. They didn't have the hardcover of The Curse of Chalion, But I think I found a really nice used copy that should be delivering any day now. And so then I also have a hardcover of The Hallowed Hunt. And most of these are signed. They like bring them to her house and she signs them and they pick them up. I care a little bit less about the signed portion of it. It's just like the best bookstore in the country to get these. And you can have them shipped to you. I will say, like, when I did that, I never got like a notification. And I always felt like, is this book coming? And it did come, and it came in great condition, very well packaged. So, and this is the cheat code for the Lois McMaster Bejeweled purchasing, especially if you want to read Verkosigan Saga, which honestly, I'm thinking about rereading it frequently. But if you get the book hardcover, Cryo Burn, it comes with a disc. And that disc has a lot of the EPUBs for other books in the series. So, if that's something you are interested in, highly recommend. It's what I did to get a majority of the Kindle books that I now have. Because I have kind of given up trying to figure out how to collect Verkosigan books in any way that's reasonable. Maybe one day I'll get new trade paperbacks that are all the same height. Maybe one day something like The Broken Binding will put out copies that I really want. I don't like the current hardcover releases. So yeah, but that's been my little bookish haul. It's been my little life update. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I think, like I said, I need to catch up on my grading. I need to finish The Red Winter. And after The Red Winter, I need to see where my heart wants me to go and go from there. So yeah, that's this update. Good to see you all in this casual setting. And let me know what you're reading, doing, or watching this weekend. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, leave a wolf. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.